All right, let's count some atoms here. First example, we have Na is sodium. I like to write all the elements out first. Oops, that's my highlighter pen. Let me get my pen here. I've got some Na. I've got some, oops, I got some sodium there. I've got some sulfur, S, and I have some oxygen. And so if we count them out, now be careful with this one. I've got a 3 out front. So that 3, I need to multiply everything in the formula by that 3 out front. So I don't really have 2 sodium. I have 3 times 2, which is going to be 6 sodium atoms. I don't have 1 sulfur there. I actually have 3 times 1, which is going to be 3 sulfur atoms. And I don't really have 4 oxygen. I have 3 times 4, or 12 oxygen atoms in there. Okay, so just be careful of that. If there's a number out front, everything in the formula gets multiplied. All those numbers in there get multiplied by that number out front. Now this one, I have the parentheses. All right, let's go down here to this one first. This one's a little bit easier. We'll come back to this guy. We have to do something extra. This one I got CO. That O goes with the C because it's lowercase. So this is not carbon and oxygen. It's actually cobalt. So that is capital C, lowercase o. I've got some nitrogen in there, and I've got some oxygen in there. All right. Now, with it's in parentheses, anything in the parentheses, the nitrogen and oxygen, I've got to worry about that little number outside the parentheses, which is a 2. I don't have to do that with cobalt because it's not inside the parentheses, so we're just going to treat that as normal. We're going to assume there's a 1 there, so there's 1 cobalt. Now with the nitrogen, these are separate, but they both get multiplied by that number 2 out there. The nitrogen, it's not 1 nitrogen, it's 1 times 2 nitrogen, so it's going to be 2 nitrogen. And then the oxygen, it's not 3, it's 3 times 2, which is going to be 6 oxygen. All right. Again, this number down here, I've got hydrogen, I got phosphorus, and I've got oxygen equals, all right, if there's a number out front, again, we multiply everything by that number out front, where it's not going to be 3 hydrogen, it's 4 times 3, which is going to be 12 hydrogen. It's not 1 phosphorus, it's 1 times 4. Got to multiply by that number up front, so it's 4 phosphorus. And then with the oxygen, it's not 4, it's 4 times 4, or 16 oxygen. Now save the second one for last because we got to do both rules here. We got a 2 out front, and we got some parentheses. So we have to do both rules, where the things inside the parentheses, I have to multiply by the number outside the parentheses. But then I also still have to worry about the number up front because everything gets multiplied by the number up front. So I have to come back later and multiply by that number out front. We'll see that in a second. But let's set this up. We got some iron, Fe. I've got some oxygen, and I've got some hydrogen there. All right. My iron's not in the parentheses, so I don't have to worry about multiplying it by that little 2 outside the parentheses. I just treat that as a 1. And we just use the rule where, I still got to multiply by the number out front because that number out front multiplies everything. So 1 times 2 is going to be 2 iron. With the oxygen, I've got a little 1 there. All right, and it's in the parentheses, so let's do the parentheses first, where I go 1 times 2 is 2, but I still got to take care of that number up front. So 2 times 2 is going to be 4 oxygen. And then my hydrogen, it's also 1. So that 1 times 2 is 2. And then again, multiplying by that number out front, it is also 4 hydrogen.